Alright, well, I guess let's take a look at this Farage speech. So, Farage gave a speech today. Apparently, he was talking the Conservatives and Labour. So, we'll take a look at this first, and then we'll get into some drama stuff.
Conservatives, it's over. It is done. And frankly, after the level of betrayal that we saw, especially since the 2019 victory with the 80-seat majority, they fully deserve everything that is happening. It was on the 3rd of June last year that I decided I would end my political retirement, give up a nice easy life, and throw myself back into the front lines of British politics. I said on that day that we would get millions of votes in the general election and establish a beachhead in Parliament, and that is exactly what we did. I have spent most of my time since July the 5th last year
in America
trying to build this party, professionalise this party, and everything was aimed at May the 1st. And around me today on this stage, you see the fruits of that labour from myself, Zia, and tens.
We will stop this. We will stop this. The UK's on the come up again. We're just laying the groundwork. You got no idea. You've got no idea. All it takes is just things to improve a little bit, and it'll all be fine.
Of thousands of activists out there in the country.
The thing is, the moment that they actually have to defend any policy, like, they're getting such an easy ride at the moment because Labour is like so unpopular right now, and the Tories just got absolutely decimated. So they're having like a mad easy ride from the media, and all they get, it's just like they endlessly get to talk about how the Tories did nothing, the Tories, pretend to care about immigration, blah blah blah. All the just endlessly and just keep banging that drum. But then every policy they suggest is like totally retarded and uncosted. And I'm pretty sure the other day they like brought up some policy and were confronted on the cost, and we're just like lying about it basically. And there is some level to which that actually does play in the UK media. I know that literally doesn't work in the US. I know policy is literally totally irrelevant, but in the UK media sometimes that does actually do something. So I think they're gonna start getting if the country improves a little bit, and then they have to defend policies. I think we're fine. I think we're fine.
What you see before you today is a new member of Parliament for Runcorn, 2 mayors, and 9 of our 10 councils in which we have overall majority control. Reform is now in government in large swathes of England. What you see before you, whether you can yet believe it or not, is the second step of what is going to be the biggest political revolution this country has seen since the Labour Party overtook the Liberals over 100 years ago. And the big shout-out message, and it's very, very clear, is if you vote reform, you get reform. No longer will the argument be, well, we like reform, we like what they stand for, we like some of their people, but to vote for them would be a wasted vote.
You think you found an alt from Cameron? Sure, I'll have a look. Oh, you haven't sent me anything. Okay.
That is not the case anymore. In fact, in many ways, if you look at the map today, if you look at Scotland, you look at Wales, you look at the whole of the Red Wall, and many other parts of England, if you want a party to be the opposition party to this Labour government, then it's a Conservative vote that would be a wasted vote. It's a Conservative vote that actually would help keep Labour in power. And that is the absolutely fundamental shift of public perception that has happened after May the 1st. Over 40% of people who voted
I think this is cope. I think this is total cope. I mean, well, it's not even really cope, it's just narrativizing, obviously. I think people are not as set on reform over Conservative as he wants to pretend. I think Kemi Badenoch's just a terrible fucking leader. And she's not even been, realistically, I don't think she's been put in the party to actually lead it. I feel like that she is basically an interim leader, just while they figure out who they actually want. So it's just like so, the idea that so many people are drawing like firm conclusions or predictions about an election that's not for another 4 years off of the back of like an insane defeat for the Tories, an insane win to Labour. That's in an unpopular government that's inherited a shit situation. It's like there's so much is going to change in the next few years. There's not going to be the same Conservative leader. The country could be in a completely different spot. There's literally no way of knowing, and people draw such firm fucking conclusions. Nah, people, if the media's saying it right now, but if they get a better leader, people will start switching back. Yeah, I agree that's sus, but it's just hard to, you can't prove anything, right?
Conservative at the last election actually wanted to vote reform, but didn't do it because they thought it would be a wasted vote. And that is
She's a token to prove that Tories aren't racist. Reform voters, of course, like racism, so they won't vote for her. Labour voters, who knows? I don't even think it's that. She was meant to be, like someone said, the anti-DEI candidate, right? She had been banging on about DEI and shit. But that's Reform's wheelhouse. Like, that's... I feel like literally trying to outflank Reform rightwards on anything is just a retarded move. There's some level to which I think addressing immigration problems by Labour is smart. I don't know if it's smart to make such a big deal out of it as Keir Starmer did. But, trying to, like, be the anti-DEI party when you're competing with Reform is, like, retarded. That's, like, dumb as hell. Like, you'll never outflank them on that, so why try and appeal in that way? If the Conservatives want to be viable, I think they've got to... They do have to be, like, centre-right. Like, lib-right, almost. Like, neocon type.
has been completely and utterly destroyed as an argument. Now, of course, we have a lot to do now that we're in office, and there is a heavy burden of responsibility on the shoulders of many in this room. And our Doge unit has now been set up. You'll be hearing much more about that.
Dude, just like try to copy the like Trump shit as well. Dude, like I feel like this guy's sinking. I feel like Trump is not getting any more popular in the UK over the next few years. If he just keeps tying his shit to like Trump and Musk, it's over, man.
We firmly established which flags we will and won't fly from council halls, something that is very popular with the public. And we are already beginning to discover...
Yeah, I agree that Tories won't get back on top, but people are acting like they're totally out and that Reform is now the default right-wing party. I don't think that's totally true. I think the leader just sucks right now. I think it'd be way more split. They had a better leader.
Massive wastes of money in local government. But please don't judge us just yet. Some of these leaders were only sworn in as recently as last Friday. But we are on our way. Our membership from June the 3rd last year has gone from 28,000 to over 235,000. I have absolutely
Boris will come back. No, I don't think Boris will come back. I could be wrong. There's actually a good chance I'm wrong, but I don't think so, personally. I think he fucked it too bad.
No idea how many members the Conservative Party has, or indeed, how many members the Labour Party has. The last figure we had was many months ago, and they were losing a member every 10 minutes. I'm not saying we are already...
DI is DI for pale skins, smiley face emoji, hypocrites. Step your game only OU and get that job.
Thank you for the $9.99. Thank you.
The biggest political party by membership, but we must be very, very close indeed. As for the Conservatives, I don't think many in the media class yet really understand the extent to which they are dying as a political party. It's over. It is done. And frankly, after the level of betrayal that we saw, especially since the 2019 victory with the 80-seat majority, they fully deserve everything that is happening to them. And as I mentioned already, they cease to be a national party. They are now an irrelevance in Scotland, an irrelevance in Wales, a complete irrelevance in the Red Wall, where nobody will ever trust them again. Now, of course, there's much talk about who the leader of the Conservative Party might be, and they change leaders pretty regularly. And maybe Kemi Badenoch's not having a particularly great time. Now, there is somebody who fancies his chances. He's been on Ozempic, he's running marathons. I noticed a very nice new Savile Row suit the other day. Perhaps he even had his teeth done, I don't know.
Rumours of another Labour rebellion. I'd be very fucking stupid if they did that. I'm going to be real. There's like The child benefit stuff is kind of fucked, but the winter fuel stuff, I gotta be honest, it's retarded complaints. Like both Labour and the Tories agreed that the winter fuel payments needed to be means tested. It wasn't a good policy to have as universal. There were so many rich fucking old people that were getting insane money off the winter fuel payments. Well, not insane money, but you know what I mean. Like they've already got insane money and they're getting the winter fuel payment. It's fucking stupid. The U-turn on the winter fuel. Wait, have they U-turned on it now? As in, like, or do you just mean getting rid of it in the first place? Dude, that's fucking stupid. Yeah, that is really dumb. Yeah, that's dumb. They should have just stuck with the winter fuel cap. Or they go right back with revisions. Alright, well, that's not too bad then. That's fine. That's not really a U-turn then. If they bring it back, but just with the means testing different, that's not really the same, is it? It's not a U-turn.
But it's completely irrelevant whether Robert Jenrick becomes leader of the Conservative Party or Kemi Badenoch stays on as party leader. It's completely irrelevant if Boris Johnson decided, although he's got some pretty heavy domestic duties by the looks of it, whether he decides to return. They will not be trusted again. They have no chance of winning the next general election, none whatsoever. And I don't really wish to spend much more time talking about them. They did sink to 4th in the opinion polls with YouGov last year. It is over. It is done. They've had a good 200 years. It is now finished. But today I wanted to talk a bit more, really, about the Labour Party. Now, they, of course, right now are absolutely terrified of reform. And if you think the Conservatives had a bad day on May the 1st, arguably, Labour...
It's tough to say about something you've given out. Yeah, but it's got to be done. Like, it's just like obvious. I don't know, man. It's fucked. The messaging is fucked, basically, I think, is the biggest. Messaging and strategy is just totally fucked with Labour since they got in. Because they do need to cut stuff. They do need to make tough decisions. There was an insane black hole in the accounting, right? That shit has to change. The winter fuel payment was a kind of stupid policy. It did apply to people who shouldn't have gotten it. Like, there was no reason to be given the amount of money we were giving out on the winter fuel payment. But the messaging is fucked and it just hasn't been communicated to people properly. Because, like, literally the Tories were bitching about the winter fuel payment thing, but they fucking agreed with it. They were going to do that anyway if they got in.
It did even worse. We completely wiped them out in County Durham, in many other parts of the East Midlands and elsewhere. And now, I have to say, they've decided they'll turn their guns on me. And every PMQs now, we see an obscure backbench Labour MP get up and ask the Prime Minister a question. You know, is it true that the honourable member from Clacton is a complete rotter? To which the PM says, oh, well, of course he, supports Putin and wants to abolish the NHS. And I have to sit there, and I've got no means of actually answering back or fighting back in any way at all.
Wow.
I think even without reform, this government is off to the worst start of any government since Eden and the Suez Crisis in 1956. They are collapsing in terms of support. Their response to us is just to turn on the Labour lie machine. And I think today, perhaps it's just a little opportunity for me perhaps to answer some of that. Reform really are now the party of working people. One of the arguments I made in the run-up to May the 1st was that many of our voters are people with alarms that go off at 5 o'clock in the morning. They go off to work. They work damned hard, whether they're working for companies, whether they're trade union members, whether they run their own businesses or act as sole traders. They're the people that are voting for us. And the great divide that is opening up in British society is between those that get up and go to work, pay an ever-increasing tax burden, feel ever more hampered by government at every level, and their next-door neighbours who choose to do nothing, but actually have a very similar
and those neighbours are
standard
brown
of
now.
living. That is becoming increasingly
and that's the
a
most fucked
massive
up
problem
part. The neighbours are
in
brown now.
this country. But I also think that Labour have a problem with their personalities. The Chancellor of the Exchequer, Rachel Reeves, I don't think I've ever seen anybody so hopelessly out of their depth at any point in my professional or political
He's trying to do
career.
the Trump thing. Bro,
And the
you're
idea
like
that we
gay.
were going to get this
Or you're like gay and annoying.
10-year Bank of England economist. And of course she was dubbed by my colleague Lee Anderson as Rachel from accounts, which actually wasn't accurate, because it's Rachel from complaints.
Wow. Oh, vapid speech.